What happened? Did you not have Craig's settings set for this channel?
No, it was
What?
just right when Craig joined me. I went,
I hiccup.
Yeah.
yeah, that.
I thought maybe it was still loud for him for some reason.
Yeah, those.
Good.
Hey, O'Mail. It's like the worst sound check you've ever done.
Yeah, let me get a sound. Check.
Can I just snork into the mic? It's not really a word. I think I just made it up for the sound that I'm going to make.
Bro, you going snorking later?
I'm going to snarflack all over this mic right now.
Now you're just Rick and Mortying it up over here. First you take the flim flam, then you snark waffle it.
You plug it into the plum doodler.
Be a big inhale leading right into a big heave slack. Welcome to the A4NB4Y podcast, where we go chapter by chapter through the game. This week we're covering whatever we did. Like we said in previous episodes, every once in a while we're going to be hitting these adventure episodes where we talk about the things that we encounter between major story beats. This week is our path from Lookout Landing up towards the Rito area. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ryan Fonzie, and I am a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And with me, as always,
I had a Sunday made up of you like earlier.
Okay, bro.
I'm Cameron Hagee, and I will be doing my epic narration voice.
And I'm T Giggles, and I didn't really giggle much today.
Sad day.
It is a sad day,
bro. We made it to our first episode where we get to describe entirely separate experiences without worrying about what everyone else has experienced. We haven't talked too much about the structure of this. I know we all brought a few things to the table. Cam, I know you have like a whole story to just read outright.
Yes.
So I'm thinking maybe we put that right in the middle of everything. Or maybe we can trade off stories. I don't know. Is yours broken up at all, or can it be broken up at all?
My first one and second one are pretty broken up, but the second and third are like right bam bam after each other.
Gotcha. All right. So we start making our way pretty much northwest. So generally northwest. I mean, if you were to draw a beeline up northwest, the game directs you into a few like obvious things that it wants you to do.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily go up there first.
No?
Nah.
Oh, all right. Which way did you end up going?
The opposite way.
The opposite way?
Yeah, the opposite way.
You were like, forget Rito.
No spoilers.
All right.
I mean, I did go to the Rito as the first area, like the first place I actually beat, but in the beginning of the game, I wasn't all about let me just go straight to the first main objective. I just wanted to run around, and that's the direction I happened to go in.
Gotcha. See, I literally like left Lookout Landing, went past Mount Gustav, and just headed straight across the Karok Bridge. And it leads you right into like what appears to be another tutorial section of the game. And that's kind of like where most of my adventures start.
Mm.
but there is more that the game also tries to show you before you get over there. So what did you? All right, Cam. How about since you went the other way? How about we start with you and figure out how far to the right we can go?
Well, it's more the depths that I'm talking about in where I went to the bottom right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not really about what happened on Hyrule. The first one is, but that one's kind of just close to Lookout Landing. The other stuff's in the depths.
Okay.
But if you want me to start, I can get my first chunk done.
All right. Cool.
All right. After visiting Lookout Landing, I decided to run northeast to Krenel Hill. I found a cave on that hill and ventured forth. There were a few enemies, but as I walked over a boulder in the middle of the giant room, the earth rumbled. A luminous Talos lumbered from beneath me, and with a beginner kit of weapons and armor, I accepted the challenge. The fight was long and arduous, and the weak point was at an awkward angle. Lunker ate a full course of dinner during this battle. Afterward, I was rewarded with, at the time, a powerful fusion material, a glowing white heart of stone. And upon further exploration, the cave had a hidden treasure. The barbarian trousers, an exhilarating find for my first big item to discover in Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
Gotten them barbarians attack up.
Right away.
Right away. First order of business.
That's right. Found them.
That's pretty cool, though.
Now they're actually like pretty darn close to like where Lookout Landing is, essentially, right?
Yeah. Krenel Hills are like right there.
The game's nice to you in the beginning. They're like, you know what? This game's hard. Take some attack up.
If you find it.
I've been to the Krenel Hills cave. I don't even know if I got them barbarian trousers.
That's where they is, man.
It's funny because there are a lot of caves where the items aren't obvious.
Yeah, this was not. I think it was like, it was a hole in the wall, kind of like up towards the ceiling. So you had to climb up the wall and then go into this little hole and run a little ways and then shrine with a chest.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like one of Misko's shrines, right? We haven't talked about Misko yet, but he's like apparently a dude who's been just collecting all the special equipment from Breath of the Wild and hiding it in caves, along with some new pieces as well. He's just like a big old armor collector, and that's the that's the explanation they give for why you'll find special pieces every once in a while. It's just some dude just hoarding them across the entire land.
So here's like a thing though, because so you start this game and Link has max health and max stamina. So can we assume that the Link that started this game basically did everything in Breath of the Wild? So I would assume that all of the clothing Link had acquired, he probably kept in his house. So Misko must have stole the clothing out of Link's house and then ran around and put them in a bunch of caves.
Well, I do want to say there's a lot of his sets that you just don't find in Breath of the Wild. Like there's the Misko hunts for the like attack up in elements, so you can get like the frost attack up and the heat attack up, and then there's like the tunics and stuff.
So he's got a couple originals.
I think a lot of them were like amiibo locked, so Link shouldn't have them aside from, I think even like the Va set, like the Va helmets, I think those were also amiibo locked too, if I'm not mistaken. And I think a lot of it was just amiibo locked, so he's just like, maybe he got access to amiibos. And he's like, I got the coolest Samas. I'm gonna hide them now.
That's it, man. He found the amiibo stash.
He did.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like the Misko shrines kind of look Yiga-ish to me. I don't know if that felt the same to you.
Oh, they do.
Like
though.
they're kind of like Yiga. Maybe, I mean, possibly Sheikah, but I think it looks more like Yiga. It almost looks like the banana shrine that's in the hideout from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I was thinking it was one of the two, but I couldn't really tell which, one over the other.
Right. All right, cool. Cool first adventure. Crennel Hills, y'all. It's right there. Go for that.
Head on over.
Just as a side, this wasn't even one of the ones I planned to bring, but when you go over across the Carrick Bridge, there is a North Hyrule Plain cave. I don't know if Anthony you want to cover that, but I can if you don't.
You can go ahead.
So the game will draw your attention to it by putting a one of the Zonai exploration team members right out front. At least I think. I mean, it might just be a dude. Actually, I don't think it is one of those guys. I think it's just a regular NPC, but he's looking into the cave, and he mentions the bubble gems. He's like, yeah, there's one of these weird creatures in here. I'm told if I can get a bubble gem, I can go over to the woodland stable and trade it for something cool, like some kind of treasure. There's somebody over there who's looking for these gems. But he's just standing at the edge of the cave, looking in, all curious. So you can go in there. It's a pretty straightforward cave. It's almost like the game's trying to introduce you to caves through this one. But there is a Horriblin inside of it. First one I ever fought. A Horriblin is kind of like a bridge troll, but climbs on the ceiling and usually carries a long weapon.
They got big schnozzes.
Yeah, big old nose hanging off their face. Definitely a scary enemy the first time I saw one. At this point, they're a joke. But, I mean, that's just... Once you get used to them, they have a really silly moveset, honestly. You can get a bubble gem in here, but also you can get the climbing tunic, which is also a pretty good early game find.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. So pretty cool intro thing there. Now, the part of the story that I actually want to talk about in this area, because this is the North Hyrule Plain here. There's the New Serene Stable. But when you come over here, you'll see a hot air balloon just kind of chilling by the stable. And if you go over to it and check it out, it's like across the road from the stable. You'll find Impa, actually, from Breath of the Wild, just kind of chilling by this hot air balloon, and she's inspecting this huge light up image of a Zonai on the ground.
It almost sort of looks, for visual, like somebody just took a bunch of glow stick fluid and just dumped it on the ground in a pattern.
Right, just like made a big ol' sketch. They call it a geoglyph in the game. And these are like the replacement for the memory quest from the first game. I don't want to get into what the memory for this one is, other than to say this is just an introduction of this system. Impa will take you up in the hot air balloon so you can check out the whole picture all at once. You go down, you look for a Tear of the Dragon. And by looking at the Tear of the Dragon,
it's a little pond.
Collect a memory. Yeah, it almost does like a little recall effect, and the whole like teardrop reforms and raises above the ground, and then you get shown some images from the past. So kind of a cool system. I prefer it to the memory system. I have a feeling like we'll end up doing a memory movie night, kind of like we did last season, but not until later on in the season. But yeah, this quest here, it kind of gets extended if you go up into the Forgotten Temple. If you do that, you'll find Impa again, and she's traveling around with Kato. Forgot to mention that. And he was the cuckoo man from Breath of the Wild. But he left his cuckoos with another Sheikah for safekeeping. And he has been traveling around with Impa to try to look at these geoglyphs. When you go into the Forgotten Temple, you may find that the giant goddess statue that was there in Breath of the Wild is overturned, just like straight up fallen on its side. And you can get behind it now into another series of rooms. One of them has a bunch of rocks kind of positioned in a circle around some kind of statue structure. Kind of looks like a lotus flower. At this point, I know what that structure is, but early on in the game I did not. So it was just kind of an ambiguous room. And then past that room, there is a map of Hyrule on the ground that shows where all the geoglyphs are. And there are images on the walls that show what order they technically go in. So if you want to find all of the geoglyphs in order, you can just kind of follow the direction of this room. So cool stuff. Once again, I'm not going to resolve this story here and now, but it's a nice reference point to get if you need one for that. I personally did care about what order I got the memories in, so I did reference this room quite a bit. But I understand if it's not really that important to you and you're cool with just kind of scattershotting them and just seeing what you get when you get it. But yeah, to each their own.
I'm all about that scatter shot, bro.
All about that scatter shot. Just give them to me as I find them.
Exactly.
But yeah, cool stuff. That's my first adventure is going from the geoglyph up to the Forgotten Temple. That's like the whole first bit. I won't even say that's the first one I completed, but that is the first one I wanted to talk about. Anthony, what you got though?
Well, I sort of did what Cameron did. I mean,
You went the wrong way.
you're presented with this glorious land, and I was like, Rito. So I got the big idea that I was like, I didn't really get to explore Hyrule Castle at all. And I was sort of thrown off that you could just go to Hyrule Castle just right then and there in the beginning of the game, and that they actually did that. So I was like, there's got to be more there, right? Can't just be like a few guard posts. So I went back to Hyrule Castle and I was exploring the castle and walking around, and I found some underground tunnels, which were cool. Killed some bokoblins, got some royal guard stuff, which is like I think the best weapons in the game with the best ability. Or like
It's
I
I don't know what the set bonus is for that,
I
but I
could tell
do
you.
know that at least at the start, and I think moving on, like if you upgrade it, it does have equivalent defenses to like the soldier armor. So it's just like beastly armor.
Oh, I was talking about the weapon. But yeah, no, the
Oh,
armor, you can find the armor down there too, and I did. That's where I got the royal guard armor. So I was beefy like straight out the gate. Kind of like Cameron, he got that barbarian set. But yeah, no, I was the weapons, like there's so many royal guard weapons just chilling, and their set bonus, or I guess weapon bonus, is that when they're about to break, they do double damage. So
okay.
they're pretty they're pretty fragile too, the royal guard stuff, I want to say. So like what I do is I just use the weapons just normally, and then when they're about to break, I just attach something that's extremely strong. So like say you have the royal guard's claymore with attack up like 15, you're at like 72 damage, and then you put on something that's like well, we haven't talked about these yet, but you put on like an item that's like 40, right? And then you're already at
Oh,
110, and then you double it. So like when it's about to break, it's at 220. So you do 220 damage. You only get one hit, but like come on. Who
there's no
doesn't want
way
to do
you were
200?
seeing these numbers this early in the game, though.
No, no, no. I didn't have like I'm just saying like when you do get good items. What I was talking about was an item that's like I haven't even seen this thing yet, but yeah,
Gotcha.
I mean, I had like soldier construct horns, and like I was still getting to the hundreds. It was really nice, but that's beside the point. I left that room, which was like in Breath of the Wild. It was the old like underground barracks, I guess you could say. And there was a lot of gloom in there. And then I came up into this like tunnel with a sort of high ceilinged room, and I think it's around the first gatehouse or somewhere near there. And then I was exploring that, and something hit me and did 3 of my hearts, and I was like, "What hit me?"
You
So
only
I was
have like
freaking out.
4 at this point.
Yeah, and I was, like, freaking out. I was like, "What?" Like, I didn't see my screen. I just saw wind lines, and then, like, I got smacked, and I was like, "What?" And And then I'm thinking, I'm like, the combat music started, and I saw nothing. So I'm just over here, just like, okay, so there's an invisible enemy in this room. I have to book it. So I ran away, tried to collect myself, and I saw another wind line go past me, and I'm just like, what? And I didn't see what even hit me, so I healed up. I ran down this stairway, and I'm just like waiting, like looking around, like, is the invisible enemy like coming after me? And then I just saw from the top of the stairway this creature, which you had mentioned previously, but it was just came across the ceiling, like from the top part, and just walked across the ceiling down the stairs at me. I was so scared because it was like straight out of a horror movie. This creature just comes out of the nowhere and then starts walking down the stairs on the ceiling. It was a horrible.
Yeah,
I didn't know what it was, and I thought it was an invisible enemy, but he threw a rock at me from the
yeah.
ceiling.
There's a few good enemies in this game that the first time you see them, they are scary by especially by like Breath of the Wild standards. The fact that they're new, like the first time I saw a like I was like, oh no. The first time I saw a Horriblin, I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Why am I going to die right now? Didn't even know, how to act about it. I'm like, do I have to, range attack? Is it going to attack me? Like, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah,
They are,
there was, like, so many thoughts going through my head. I was like, "I'm in Hyrule Castle, this could be like, am I fighting an invisible dark nut? Like, what is going on here?" And then it was actually a black and a pink bokoblin, there was 2 of them, or Horriblin. So, pink is, I think, the best color,
one
or
of
the
them.
strongest
Yeah.
one, and I was just like, "Oh my goodness." I killed them, it took a lot of bombs, all the bombs that I had picked from the cave that I went in, and yeah. It was horrible. So then I promptly left Hyrule Castle after that encounter and continued on the path that you just mentioned.
Okay, so you revisited there a few times then since, huh?
I've been back, yeah. Later on when I felt more confident to take that area on, I definitely came back. That was a wake-up call that I'm like, "I'm not ready for this."
Yeah. Yeah, later on, it's a really cool area to explore, especially if you're still familiar with the controls of Breath of the Wild. You can go there early game and get a lot done.
Mhm.
Get a lot of cool items for free, basically.
And I wanna, I guess, specify, this was the bottom part of the castle that was still on Hyrule's ground, not the floating part of the castle. I hadn't gone there yet in this.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
excited to talk
revisited that.
about that in a
Me
different
too.
adventure episode.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Kim, you got anything else for us, or do you want me to go on to my next thing?
Yeah, why don't you guys share like one more each, and then I'll do my second and third chunk.
Cool. All right. So, the next thing that I wanted to talk about here actually happens right in the middle of what I was talking about before. So, between the North Hyrule Plain and the Forgotten Temple, if you just kind of jump off that track to the left, you'll hit Lindor's Brow Skyview Tower. It's like up on a hill, right in that area. I think it's the second tower I got on this playthrough. But the cool thing about this tower is when it launches you into the air, if you're quick, you might see a couple of tiny little sky islands like kind of peek out from behind some clouds. If you don't see it, then you're likely to just kind of dive all the way back down and just find a safe landing somewhere else. But if you do see it, it's like right in front of you when you get to the top of your jump, and you can just float forward a little bit and catch one of these. If you do that, you can pretty much island hop your way right over to the Courage Island. This is the first. I don't know if it was supposed to be as hidden as it felt like I was finding a secret, but at the same time, like this is a giant spiral of rock islands like up in the air,
Yeah.
and it's a really cool spot. There's a Zonai device, there's a steward construct, there's a shrine and everything, a little pool where you might find some fairies surrounding it. And if you talk to the steward construct, he'll tell you, he'll ask you if you're here to try out the a coming of age ceremony that the Zonai traditionally do when they hit a certain age.
It's pretty crazy for a coming of age. It's like, hey, jump off of this really high thing and then fall down through all these places you could hit and, you know, probably not live from hitting, all the way down to this pool at the bottom.
Right. So in the fiction of this game, you know, water means you won't die when you hit the ground. So there's a weird precedent set where this could be a thing, even though it doesn't feel like it should be a thing. Let me see. Steward construct. What does he call it? The dive ceremony. Wow, I went all the way just for that. So yeah, so you'll talk to the steward construct, and he'll tell you about the dive ceremony, which was a Zonai rite of passage. Basically, you go up way high, and you jump through a series of rings down into a little pool of water, and your goal is to clear a certain time on this fall. If you do it fast enough, meaning that you basically make yourself aerodynamic to speed up your descent enough, then you get rewarded with the dive tunic. I don't even know if it's actually called a tunic. It's like a wingsuit. It's called the glide shirt, but it is essentially like Red Bull man wingsuit. Like it's
You definitely wing gliding.
yeah. And this dive shirt gives you glide mobility up. So whenever you're doing your Fortnite skydive, you can basically strafe to the left and right, forward and back faster than you could before. It's super helpful for situations like if you find a chasm with obstacles, like going into the depths, or if you have to do another dive ceremony and you want to break records more easily. Or if whenever you jump off a tower, if you want to make more distance without having to glide as far, like with your paraglider, you can just kind of coast on over there with your dive shirt. There are other challenges. So if there's 2 other places that look just like this and have their own dive ceremonies to get a full set. But I don't even know if we need to talk about those. They may come up in later adventure episodes, but they're not. They're all kind of the same. So I don't know if it would be much value added to get into all that. But if you see a giant island that looks like a bunch of rings stacked on top of each other, there's a good chance that that's part of this set. And honestly, it's been one of my bread and butter sets. Like I wear it all the time, even if I'm not diving, just because it's that convenient to have around. It's one of the, for me, it's kind of like wearing the sneak set in Breath of the Wild. It's just kind of like, you need this enough where it makes sense to just have it on. One almost cheat code-esque thing I'll say about this set, when we get to this game, you know, it does have the set bonuses, it does have an upgrade system, and the set bonus for the dive outfit is called Impact Proof. And you can literally just land on solid ground now from the sky without having to paraglide. Yeah, you can just go. You
I
can
had
go
no
full
clue.
dive and hit the ground, and it's completely fine.
Yeah, no fall damage at all in the game anymore if you have that on.
Yeah.
Oh man, I
So
did not know that.
if your hover bike runs out of juice, you can just kind of fall and be fine. It's great.
Sheesh. I need to get that last one then. I only have 2.
But yeah, that's my second adventure. That's a pretty solid.
Yeah,
I need it in my life.
you need it upgraded in your life.
Yeah. I hadn't focused on, I guess you could say, exterior sets. I've been doing sets that have high defense, not really knowing what the other set bonuses are, and there probably is some really good ones that I just haven't figured out yet because I've just been upgrading the ones that are going to give me the best reduction for damage. Oops.
That's funny because I don't have any ones that give me good reduction in damage yet at all.
No?
Nope. None.
Oof.
I mean,
I'm on hard mode, bro.
I'm taking it easy after master mode, man. I'm minimizing
this
all
game.
pain.
This game, because you have so many combat options, I feel like they just were like, well, what is difficulty really? And they just, it's so sporadic. You'll just run into stuff that's way above a Breath of the Wild challenge, and it'll just be casually wandering the plane. But at the same time, you know, you can just kind of build a robot to fight for you if you want. So I mean,
yeah, you can.
like, what does it all even mean?
Right?
But yeah,
I don't
that's
have
that's
that
my
yet.
second adventure. I don't know what else you got though, Anthony. What's your next one?
Well, since we mentioned the geoglyphs and all that, I took the similar route and I went along that adventure as well. Saw Impa, went to the Forgotten Temple, did all the jazz there, and then when I was leaving the Forgotten Temple, I kind of like whacked through the ravine a little bit and found like a nice spot to sort of climb up where I wouldn't exhaust all my stamina. And I climbed up to this like ruins area. I was like, oh, this is cool. So I just started walking around the ruins and I saw like gloom manifest on the ground. And I was like, what's that, please? And eventually a bunch of just hands came out. I was like, oh no, they got gloom masters in this game. It was my first interaction with that, and I was very scared. And I tried to run, but they're faster than Link, and I got grabbed and gave me the gloom like a disease, and then just threw me like I was a tossed salad. I was like, okay, I am no way, shape, or form ready for this. So I booked it. I tried to like hightail it over the ruins, which seemed to have worked, kind of like an alligator, just climb high. And I eventually made it out of the ruins, and I walked to a thicket of trees and found a girl and a horse cart standing there. And I like looked, I like made it pretty far. And this is like around Solari Plain, if you have the map up, right before Rowan Plain, and sort of just above the ravine of the Forgotten Temple. And I found this girl. Her name is Junie, and she has a cart full of sand seal stuffed animals. Have you guys run into her ever?
I have not.
No.
Oh, well then you're about to hear the best mini game in this game. So, yeah, I was like looking for something fun after experiencing the gloom hands. And I stumbled upon this girl and she's just like mumbling to herself. And so when you come up to talk to her, you like scare her and the horse. You like startle her and then the horse is like and then it kicks the sand seal plushies like everywhere across the ground. Just like everywhere. They're like littered across the ground everywhere. And then she like turns around and is like, "What were you thinking? Sneaking up on a girl like that in the middle of the night." And she's just like really frustrated with you and really mad with you. And so she asks you, she's like, "You need to help me pick these up." And so like this quest line starts. And she's like, "For the damages, like you have to give me 20 rupees." And then you like start the game. And so it's basically a timed game. She's like, "I need these picked up now. Like it's pronto." And like they're getting dirty on the ground. So basically the game is to use Ultra Hand to put the plushies back into the cart, and you like kind of like glue them into the cart. And so I was doing this. I probably did this like 5 times. And I don't think I did it the first 2 times. I was also pretty noob at Ultra Hand at this point. Um, so I kept doing it. I was like, I got some rupees to spare, and I kept doing it. And then I eventually figured out, why not just like stick them all together at once? And also, before you give her the money to start the game, you can actually look around and see like what's the best path to take to get these. So it's kind of some strategies there. And if you just put them all together at once and then just plop them into the cart, I've made it every time. She gives you 100 rupees for completing it. So it's like one of the best, easiest, fastest ways to make money. It only takes like 30, 40 seconds to get them all back in the cart. So I love it. A little bit of her backstory, I guess which I've never seen her there or I've never gone there, but apparently her main goal is to give handmade Sandseal stuffed toys to the school children in Hatino Village. I've never seen her there.
Oh, nice.
So apparently she goes there. I've just never found her. I don't know what time of the day or whenever. Or maybe you have to see her here before she goes there. I don't know. I've also seen her at I think it's Sahasrara. Or it could be Sra. I don't know. It might be Sahasrara. Shout out to Sahasrara, that tower. I think she's over there as well. I've seen her. And apparently she spent a bunch of time in Gerudo Village learning Gerudo doll making Sandseal skills. So she's just killing it with the Sandseal plushie game. She's like Toys R Us over here.
She's Santa Claus.
Hilarious.
So it was a fun stumble upon, honestly, after a really terrible experience. And I made bank with her. I think after I was done playing this game, I accumulated like 800 rupees.
All right.
Nice.
I definitely got to go check that out now.
Yeah. Right above the Forgotten Temple Ravine. She's just chilling.
I found Addison up there, but I did not find this thing that you're describing.
I don't know. I don't know where there's an Addison up there.
Okay.
She's just like literally like when you climb up the cliff, like she's like right there. Well, I guess the ravine is big, so there's probably a lot of spots, but yeah, she's like right over there somewhere along that cliffside.
I definitely want to try this. This will be one of my next goals when I play again.
It was a fun little adventure.
Get them plushies.
All right.
And
I know I have one more story in the chamber, but I think Cam also has a doozy for us.
Doozy.
I got a two-parter. All right. My first visit to the depths was a treacherous one. Little did I know that entering the southwestish area first would yield dangerous foes. More than a beginner with basic weapons and armor, and only 4 or 5 hearts could handle. The Black Bokoblins, Moblins, and Lizalfos would end my life in as little as 1 hit. But still I persisted, reloading saves as many times as it took to vanquish my enemies. As I got used to the difficulty of perfect fighting, I needed the saves less and less, and after about 30 minutes down there I was handily defeating my powerful black foes. And within my first handful of hours in the game, I was dispatching the second most difficult colored enemies the game had to offer. I felt unstoppable. However, my power trip soon came to an end. I rounded a corner after a light route to see my nemesis standing before me. A white-maned Lionel. The battle was short and the defeat bitter. I vowed to return to him the same humiliation he had bestowed upon me, and later I would do just that. But for now, he was just too powerful. Is my first part.
That was good. That was funny.
So I went down there, and the first area I went into the depths was just all black enemies everywhere. I had 4 or 5 hearts, and they were one-shotting me by throwing rocks at me. It was painful, but I just kept going and eventually got used to fighting without getting hit even a single time. Had to, put my big boy pants on. And then that Lionel put me back in my place. And
he was like not letting you get too confident. He's keeping you in check.
Exactly. He was there. He's like, "Oh, you feel like you're ready?" So, soon after my humiliation, I found myself at a coliseum. I wandered in as ignorant as a lost puppy, only to have the gate shut behind me and a fierce, drawn-out battle in front of me. Lizalfos. Why did it have to be Lizalfos? So annoying, their mix of speed, melee, and ranged attacks. The challengers became progressively more violent and numerous with each wave I dispatched. From basic Lizalfos to elemental Lizalfos to the grand silver Lizalfos, and a mixture of all of them. I had no food to recover my gloomified hearts, and I found myself overwhelmed by the end. However, I did not falter. Save reloaded, and with the knowledge of what was to come, I began the battle once more. Strategically, I used the elemental horns of my enemies to fell their comrades. Their shock was palpable in the air. This was no short endeavor, and with my low to mid-tier weapons, the silver foes were akin to a fortress with cannons on their walls. Yet I persisted, and overcame the challenge on my third or fourth attempt. It's a purple bunny helmet. I felt the urge to move into a small home and lend my items to others for a price, but I resisted and continued my journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still haven't found that yet.
I have found this one, and it is. I mean, aside from fighting all those Lizalfos, which was a pain,
Yeah.
the reward was very much worth it.
Ravio's hood, baby.
Ravio's hood. Stuff you wouldn't even get before the DLC in the last game is now just there for the taking. You find a Coliseum, you're almost guaranteed to find some kind of unique armor. And it's always something special.
Man, I wish my first Coliseum was a Lizalfos. What I would have given for a Lizalfos Coliseum.
You found it.
I had something much worse that Cameron knows about, but that was my first Coliseum.
My nemesis.
Fonz, you still have another one in the tank chamber?
I do still have another one. All right. So, as you know, I mean, we've all played Breath of the Wild. I mean, I've gone through that game twice now, and as much as it was fun to start on the Great Sky Island in this game, I did want to go ahead and see what was going on over at the Great Plateau on this playthrough. And luckily, it's not actually that far from our path once again. In fact, if you just go kind of a little more south on Hyrule Field, there's a pretty straight shot. There's another tower. There's like a Hyrule Field Skyview Tower on the way. Pretty much jump you right up there if that's where you want to go. So of course I went and I visited the Ye Old Temple of Time, and interestingly enough, I went in. I think I actually had a couple of shrines done at this point, so I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to that goddess statue, and I'm gonna see if I can get myself, another stamina vessel or what have you." But when I walked in, I could not use the goddess statue. It actually it basically gave me a message saying that this was just like a visage, and that it wanted me to find it down in the depths. It was like, "Come find me down in the depths, like I need your help." I'm like, "What?" Like, what is happening? Like, this is insane. So I go and find a chasm, because there's actually 4 chasms located right where the shrines used to be in Breath of the Wild. All of the shrines have been replaced with chasms. So I jumped down one of these chasms, and I made my way over to where the Temple of Time would be. And there is what is known as the Great Abandoned Central Mine. And in the basement of this Great Abandoned Central Mine is a bargainer statue. A bargainer statue is, basically the Poe salesman statue, right? That we talked about in our last episode. Except this one is like humongous. It's massive. It's like it takes up 3 or 4 stories, like before. So you can see its whole body pretty much. When you go talk to this bargainer statue, on its face, where it would normally have 4 eyes, it has 4 holes. So if you have that specific phobia, this might be an issue for you. But basically, he tells you that he is missing his 4 eyes. They are nearby the 4 chasms on the Great Plateau, and he would like you to go and return them to him. So if you go back up to the surface, you can kind of go one by one. I think I even had a sky island above this that I was using to jump back down. Like I just would fast travel up and then jump down onto the plateau just to get to the chasms faster. But each one lands you in like a different part of a giant mine system that surrounds the great abandoned mine. So whenever you go down underneath, I mean, 2 of them you can pretty much rail cart. In fact, it looks like 3 of them you can straight up get that eye. Once you find it, you have to throw it into the chasm, follow it down into the chasm, and then like put it on a mine cart, and you can travel it over to them pretty easy. One of them is not in a mine at all. You kind of have to. I mean, you don't have to, but there is a one of those little Zonai device platforms that's in the depths, so you can build a little vehicle to wheel it over. Pretty much the same way. That one, I will say, became a little bit more of an adventure than usual. Because when you wheel anything, have any kind of vehicle or just travel into the central abandoned or the great abandoned central mine from that direction, you're going to come up to a big opening. Like it's like a big ring of structures. And you will see I mean, you'll see some Zonai stuff going on. Like most of the other entrances take you right into the basement, so you can just go straight to this bargainer statue. But this one being on the surface of the depths, which is a weird way to think about that. But it's gonna take you right into what is essentially like a Zonai storefront. But you're also gonna see a certain red-clad somebody trying to figure out a Zonai palm switch. Like the switch we had to use to open up the Temple of Time on the Great Sky Island, or any of the ones that you use to get into shrines. He's just kind of sitting there, all inquisitive. And you go up and you can talk to him, and he gets kind of. I think you can actually take the ability, like you can pretty much hit the switch right in front of him, and get the a new ability, which is the auto build ability. It's like the last
Auto build.
last ability that we haven't actually gotten on our little ability wheel so far. The symbol is like 3 purple hands, like 2 purple hands kind of outright, and then 1 above it kind of facing downward. And this will allow you to save not only like schematics, but also have a list of favorite builds that you can save, and it'll just kind of quick build it for you. So if you've ever seen one of these short videos, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, what have you, that you just see people kind of whipping out a purple area and something just kind of building itself in front of the character, that's what that is. It's auto build, and you get it at this central mine. So you get it, and then Sir Master Koga
There he is.
Who has been staring at this shrine or this switch trying to figure it out, gets just infuriated at you for stealing the ability he's been trying to get this whole time. He's like, he just could not figure out how to use it, how to activate it, and you just kind of snatch it from right in front of him. So you get into a big old fight with Master Koga. He has no problem building things instantaneously, though, so I really don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, right.
Because he's a huge fan of vehicle combat, and will basically just circle this arena riding in a death cart. And you can shoot him out of it. He'll get stuck in the ground like he used to. It's great. It's just like old times. And you can take him out. Once you win the fight, he gets pretty upset. I mean, I'm pretty sure he calls you a cheater and a coward and all that. Says that they don't even need the ability; they'll make do without it. Besides, they're trying to mine a bunch of this Zonite for some secret master plan, and that he's gonna move on from where he is to another location to work at another mine. So he takes off in the direction of I think he just goes southwest. Honestly, is the easiest way to describe it. But
Yeah.
yeah, very very epic return of a fan favorite.
My prediction was right.
Cameron called it.
Prediction was right.
We actually still haven't gone through the predictions and been like, did ours come true?
Yeah. I mean,
Second
yeah.
adventure episode.
Some of them, I think we still haven't even confirmed or denied yet.
Yeah.
I think once we finish the game, I think we'll have basis for everything. But
Go over
most
the
of them,
episode.
I will say, have been discovered.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my last great adventure, and that's just the start of an actual mission. Like, there's more to that mission. It's like a grand chase across the depths, but yeah, we'll probably end up covering that in another adventure episode for sure.
Yeah. Very nice.
So cool. So now, armed with every ability that we can get in the game, as far as I know, and I mean, whatever armor we're able to find along the way, I think next time we will be all geared up and ready to go for the first major, I mean, quarter of the story. Is that a fair thing to say? I mean, it might be like a sixth of the story, really, but same difference.
Yeah, that works.
Cool. Anybody have any other random adventures that they just thought of or maybe want to share about? I think we have a little extra time here, but we
I
just
had one
passed
left.
our mark. Oh, all right, cool. Drop it on us.
All right. I'm dropping it. All right, so we talked about Junie, which is the Sandshield plushie girl. Well, I actually didn't walk too far for this next adventure. I just went right up the road, and I got to Rowan Plains. And in Rowan Plains, there's a Rowan well. And I saw it and was like, oh, look, a well. And then I saw there was some gloom chasm stuff. And I was like, what? And this is at the point where I didn't know what the chasms were. I didn't pay attention to what Robbie was saying or what they were saying back at Lookout Landing. So I was just clueless. This is how I discovered the chasms. But I tried to jump on the well to look down into it because I hadn't even gone into a well yet. And I fell in. And I didn't stop falling. And I was kind of scared because it was just dark. And I just kept falling. And I was like, did I break my game? And then I saw some gloom on the wall. And I'm like, oh, this is going somewhere. And that's when I discovered the depths. And yeah, so that was pretty fun. I found a light route and I started continuing exploring. And I was like, this is the best thing ever in this game. I think we were all on at this point. We were just talking about the game on live stream. And I was just keep walking north and I just kept going north and north. I had it a little bit northeast and I went through the Drana Canyon mine. I saw a stone talus off to the left. I saw an obsidian frox in front of me. I was like, I'm not fighting that thing yet. So I went over to the stone talus, kicked his butt, got his little weapon part, and then I walked over a little bit ways to the east and I found this archway cave system and it was kind of barely visible from the light route, but I did see there was a cave entrance. So it's like, all right, a cave in the depths. I'll go in there. Sure. Probably treasure in there. I'm just walking around. I see some ruins. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. And so I'm looking for some ruins and stuff. And then I hear battle music. And then a health bar came up. And I was like, huh? What? And I looked up and it was a King Galiak. And I was like, just
Casual King Gleok.
casually, a few hours into the game since landing in Hyrule, just finding a King Gleok underground. I was only in the depths for 30 minutes. I tried to fight him. I died once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6. Then I soon began to realize that 5 hearts and unupgraded Royal Guard armor would not be enough. So I pulled up my trousers, accepted defeat, and I have still not gone back yet to fight him. Not to say I haven't killed one of these creatures, just not this guy. because he's underground and it's scary, and there's not a lot of room to fight. So yeah,
Right.
that's the end of my adventure. King Giliac stomped me into the ground with 3 elements and a foot.
Yeah, King Gliax do be like that though.
3
Yeah.
elements and a foot, he says.
I don't even know. Like at this point, I pretty much didn't have any Royal Guard set left, and my weapons were barren. And so, like, I think I did try to like fight him seriously, and I'm pretty sure like through my serious fighting, I only got him to like 85% at this point because I was working with like wooden sticks still.
Yeah, that checks.
Yeah, that ain't gonna
Yeah.
do nothing.
No.
King Leox are no joke, man.
Yeah.
You
If you're not
can't have-
working with anything over like 50 damage, then don't even bother.
King Gliax probably harder than Ganon was as the final boss of Breath of the Wild. So you know,
Without a doubt.
I mean, most overworld bosses are harder than Ganon, though. Oh goodness, but yeah,
probably not the Talos, but the other ones, yeah, you're probably right. Even like a hard Lionel was harder than Ganon.
yeah. All right, I'm doing a quick map check here to see if there's anything major else that we can maybe just squeeze into this episode.
I mean, if you want. Oh, I know something I can talk about that I did.
I got
That's
one more
super
thing over
quick.
here too. All right, how about you do your super quick thing, and I can talk about 2 areas right next to each other.
Okay.
Again, if you got
So
anything else, just stack it. I guess. Get ready.
stack it. So if you head, which you might have walked right by it, Cameron, to get to the Krenel Hills for the Barbarian set, but if you just head out to the Mabe Prairie area, like kind of like to the outskirts of the castle town walls, you'll come to a pink tree, and there's like a little offering box at the bottom of the pink tree. It actually might be closer to Romani Plains, honestly, but it's over in that area. There's just a chair. I think it's a cherry tree, honestly. I don't know. But or a sakura blossom tree, one of those trees. I'm not a tree expert, okay? So
Yeah,
you
it's
put
just like the one at the top of Satori Mountain.
You're not a botanist, bro?
not a botanist.
Dang it.
Yeah, you just go over there, you put there's actually an NPC over there, and the NPC's like, "Man, if only I had a fruit to like give to this tree, then wonders would happen." And I was like, "Oh, I so happen to have like 87 fruits in my inventory right now. I don't mind sparing one." So I dropped it in the box, and right after, what did we call those like bluish Satori creatures? The deer, the mysterious one or something?
What the
The full blown one?
The big blue
Guardian
bee
of the
monster
Mountain,
that you
that
can
guy?
ride in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, you're talking about the Mountain Guardian guy.
Yeah. So
I don't remember what we actually called him, but that's what he was.
we'll roll with that. The mountain guardian spawns, just kind of floats in, and is like, "Hello, I'm the mountain guardian." No, they don't actually say
He
anything.
doesn't say anything.
And they just, I don't even know if it really does anything, like if it does an animation. I don't remember, but
It's the
It kinda
magical mountain garden, Charlie. We gotta go find the magical mountain guardian, Charlie. Come in.
basically, it's kind of the scenario that happens. And then it kind of just like looks at you and then jumps away into the nothingness, wherever bloopies go. And all of the caves in your view essentially will be lit up for you to go to. You can just see caves as miles can go in Hyrule, and it makes going to caves very, very easy. And I think they stay up for like 30 minutes too, so it's really nice.
Nice.
And that's 30 minutes of like real time, not in game.
Yeah, that would be like 10 seconds.
I'm checking out the area. I just passed the May Village ruins right now in game. To kind of try to find where this tree is, and I can't seem to find it. But I was going to share something very similar. because I actually headed over to Satori Mountain, where I used to have all my favorite farming areas. I have not been super successful with finding all of the same gardens that I used to find. Like, I found the apple grove, and there's a lot of golden apples in the apple grove, which is pretty cool. Mainly because there were so many apples, and I think every apple tree just has like a percentage chance of sprouting a golden apple.
Fonz's Farms.
Fonz's Farms. Yeah,
He's
there's a bunch
farming
of
over here.
crows and foxes and stuff all over that tree. Also, whatchamacallem evermeans are a problem though. They've kind of made their way in here too, so you can't just go willy-nilly chopping down every tree without getting into a fight.
Man.
So you got to be careful of that. Not that they're a huge threat, but as long as you have the right kind of weapon, like an actual
Take out your
axe.
trusty woodcutter's axe.
But yeah, every time there's a blood moon, you can come back and get a bunch of golden apples if you really want. Up at the top, there is that same sakura tree, right? That cherry blossom tree. And there is somebody there who is trying to find the creature, like the guardian of the mountain. Heard about the legends of Satori, and said that as far as I know, he really likes fruit, but I'm not really sure how to offer it or whatever. He's just kind of standing in the area by the tree. So if you go over to the tree, it's got that same little offering box, same deal. If you put it in there, he'll pop out and light up all of the caves for you. It's kind of an epic scene because when you're at the offering box, you're a little bit far away from where he appears, so it just kind of does like this grand reveal of like, oh, look who it is on the mountain. Like, it's very cinematic, not necessarily like, a prolonged cutscene. And again, I don't know if it is 30 minutes. I've heard different numbers for how long it lasts, but it's pretty much, from my experience, it was at least all the caves in the area. I don't know if it was all the caves across the map, but at least surrounding the tree.
I think it moves
for miles
depending
out,
on where you
pretty
go.
good. Yeah.
So like if you like spawn into like a new area, I think new caves like glow up.
Yeah.
Could be
So
wrong.
very, very cool new mechanic. You're not gonna. I don't think the mountain just lights up randomly for you to go visit him and all of his bloopy council anymore. Instead, they've introduced this new thing where he's more of a guidance helper for you throughout the game, which I think is pretty cool because it means that, like, he's not confined to the mountain anymore, but also it's like there's a more active role for him rather than just kind of riding him to a stable and seeing the stable hand lose his mind. So,
What is that?
what is that? Is that the Lord of the Mountain? You want to curse us all? Like that whole thing. Not so much in this game, but I thought it was a pretty cool find. I still think that Satori Mountain is one of my favorite places in the game.
It's pretty darn cool. It's got a cool landscape.
Yeah. The other thing that I found that was pretty wild, you know how in the past game we very briefly talked about these areas, like the ancient tree stump and the Sage Temple ruins. Like one episode we just kind of mentioned how the tree stump was kind of a callback to the Legend of Zelda, the first game. If you go there now, there's actually a cave, so you can go in there and get a bubble gem and maybe find some other treasures. But the Sage Temple ruins themselves were kind of a huge discovery. There's a cave there too. And if you go down in, the whole place is kind of filled in with rocks, almost like the cave collapsed in on itself. So the entryway is still intact, but the cave itself is just full of rocks. And if you mine your way through it, you will find yourself, your bubble frog. So don't worry about that. Like, that's still there. But you can also find a plaque with some writing on it that basically says, oh, by the way, there was a great weapon here, like a sword that was dedicated to the sages, but it's been moved to Typhlo ruins. And this was like, I was like, oh snap, I gotta get over to Typhlo. So I did head up to Typhlo. At this point in the game, you can't find this weapon yet. Like, this sword just is not there. I don't know exactly what it is, but the hint appears to be referencing the sword of the sages, right? Like, basically the sword from Twilight Princess that the sages used to execute Ganondorf in that game. At least that's what I think I'm going to be finding once this whole thing plays out. But right now, all I have is a location and no way to actually finish the quest. So, really cool find. It's more of a treasure hunt at this point. I'm sorry if I spoiled that for people, but it's kind of what we're doing here at this point.
Slowly.
Spoiling.
What's up? You say spoil me?
Yes.
I said slowly. Slowly bringing that spoil to a simmer. To a boil.
Bringing the spoil to a boil.
Yeah.
All right. Take your word for it. But pretty cool finds, if you ask me. It seems like every old location in this game has become like a whole new thing for you to discover. So
A whole new thing.
they definitely put in the work to make sure that you had a reason to revisit everywhere and it wouldn't be boring and just retreading the same ground, So good stuff. Cam, you have any last places you want to talk about, or you think you're all set?
I'm pretty set.
All right, cool. So you guys want to wrap this one up then?
Yeah.
Good with me, boy.
All right, cool. So this has been our episode of A for No, B for Yes. Thank you all for listening. If you want to reach out to us, you can on our website. It'll be in the episode description, like we always do. If you want to support us, you can do that by leaving us a 5-star review on whatever podcaster you listen to. We actually just had one come in recently. Actually, we had a bunch. I did a guest spot over at Hello Hyrule. It's a Zelda Travelogue podcast. And we actually got a ton of people to come check out our own podcast from that. And we actually got enough reviews on Spotify to finally have a rating on Spotify, which is really exciting. But with that, when something like that happens, we actually do see a bump in the numbers as well. So if you feel like you love this podcast and want to support it, a 5-star review is an amazing way to help us reach more people. But yeah, otherwise, y'all have a good couple of weeks and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us.
Did you get all that?
Welcome to Shatsunami, a variety podcast that discusses topics from gaming and films to anime and general interests.
Previously on Chatsunami, we've analysed what makes a good horror game, conducted a retrospective on Pierce Brosnan's run as James Bond, and listened to us take deep dives into both the Sonic and Halo franchises.
Also, if you're an anime fan, then don't forget to check us out on our sub-series, Chatsunani, where we dive into the world of anime. So far, we've reviewed things like Death Note, Princess Mononoke, and the hit Beyblade series.
If that sounds like your cup of tea, then you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and all good podcast apps.
As always, stay safe.
Stay awesome, and most importantly,
Stay hydrated.